Bangladesh is on the cusp of an election. Amid domestic chaos that erupted after the killing of youth leader Osman Hadi, the country also recently welcomed the return of former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia's son Tarique Rahman after he ended his 17 years of self-imposed exile and returned to Bangladesh. Now, as it prepares for the polls, Bangladesh's Election Commission is set to hold a meeting. It will decide on the eligibility of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party chief Rahman and his daughter Zaima to contest in the upcoming polls. The BNP's acting chairman and his daughter completed their voter registration process at the Electoral Training Institute. Rahman arrived at the ETC in a high-security motorcade to complete the formalities. His wife, Zubaida Rahman, and their daughter, Zaima, had arrived a little before him. Now, both father and daughter, they have applied for inclusion in the voter list of the Dhaka 17 constituency. Their voter documents will be placed before the commission, as the formal inclusion in the voter list requires the commission's approval. After that, Bangladesh's Election Commission will decide on their inclusion in the national voter list. Now, although most of the focus remains on Tarique Rahman, his daughter, whom I mentioned earlier in the report, Zaima, has become a rising figure in Bangladesh's political landscape. Following their recent arrival from London, Zaima was first publicly seen back in 2001. She was accompanying her grandmother at the time, Khaleda Zia, during voting in that year's national election in Bangladesh. She has mostly remained outside Bangladesh, at least for the past 17 years, along with her exiled father, and has never held a formal position in the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. She's 30 years old now, Zaima Rahman, and she earned her law degree at Queen Mary University in London. She has worked as a court advocate and legal assistant at several UK-based law firms. She has little experience in politics, but she is increasingly being seen as a young, fresh face for the BNP. Can she galvanize the youth vote in Bangladesh? Is that what the party is planning? We will be discussing that with our guest a little later. Now, a party that has been mired in allegations of corruption and scandals, that's what the BNP is as of now. According to analysts, Zaima could play a major role as her father attempts to reinvent the BNP. After her return, she also put up a Facebook post saying that she never forgot to tend to and cultivate her roots, quote unquote. Zaima added that she hoped to play the highest role that she could for Bangladesh by contributing to its rebuilding and by connecting directly with the people on ground. In the post, Zaima also shared memories of her grandmother, Khaleda Zia, affectionately referring to her as Dadu. And Khaleda Zia, pardon me, that's Dadi. And Khaleda Zia, who returned from the UK in May, remains in extremely critical condition. She was hospitalized in Dhaka on the 23rd of November. Her physical condition has deteriorated significantly and she is currently in the ICU for treatment. Doctors have said that it is hard to say whether she will recover from this. She was last seen on the 23rd of November, just last month, in Dhaka when visiting Prime Minister of Bhutan met with her. However, her last public appearance was on the 21st of November at the Armed Forces Day event in Dhaka Cantonment, where she was spotted meeting with Bangladesh Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus. All right, and joining me live on the broadcast is Captain Alok Bansal. He's joining me from New Delhi. He's the Director of India Foundation, Executive Director of South Asian Institute for Strategic Affairs. Captain Bansal, thanks so much for making time for us. Let's talk about how BNP is planning to play this one out in just a matter of weeks from now. Will Tarique Rahman's revival, his return, will that revive BNP's fortunes? Let's start there.
See, there is no doubt that somebody from Khaleda's family being present there and leading the party will revive the party's fortune. And there is no doubt in the absence of Awami League, BNP remains the only party with a rank and file and an organizational structure to contest the polls. And this fact is realized by all other actors, like both Jamaat as well as the students' parties. They do realize that if BNP contests, they're bound to win. And that's why we are seeing an opposition and all these demonstrations under various grounds by students and their supporters is primarily to defer the elections or delay the elections, because they realize that if elections go as scheduled, BNP is bound to emerge as a clear victor if Awami League is not contesting.
Captain Bansal, you mentioned it's either going to be Tarique Rahman or somebody from his family. Let me talk about the other prominent face from his family. His daughter, Zaima Rahman, has been making a fair amount of headlines. Will she foray into politics for the BNP? Is she the trump card for the BNP, perhaps, to galvanize the youth sentiment, which has so far proven to be rather pivotal in Bangladesh?
See, there are two advantages. Firstly, she is untainted. So if she comes into politics, the youth movement, which is already showing fissures within themselves, some part of it will gravitate towards her. Secondly, unlike Tarique, who has certain cases pending against him, and he can be incarcerated or blocked from contesting by various legal means, she cannot be prevented. So she, to my mind, would be their alternate. I think as of now, Tarique would remain their primary candidate for leading the country. But she would definitely be a major campaign figure who will try to win over the students who are not with her party to a very great extent at the moment.
And perhaps also a lifeline for Tarique Rahman, as you're suggesting. But let me now pivot a little away from the BNP. Let's go towards the Awami League. Are they completely out of the political scene now, in real, of course, already on paper?
See, unfortunately, yes, not only is the Awami League out, but any party which was aligned with this, that party is not being allowed to contest. Not even Jatiya Party, which was the opposition. In fact, JSD, which is again a very, very prominent party and has had major role to play in Bangladesh, has not been allowed, is not being allowed. So I think till the time it is clear as to who all are contesting, and if Awami League probably decides to support one particular party, which they find the least opposed to, maybe in that sort of a case, you might see they may probably like to support certain political party to show how much of virtual support they enjoy. That's a feasibility. But it's all too premature at this point of time. I think this election, in the absence of Awami League's participation, will continue to remain a non-representative exercise and will not carry that sort of credibility which it should have.
I understand it won't be inclusive, as some of our earlier speakers on the broadcast have also pointed out. Captain Bansal, I also wanted to understand, when it comes to Bangladesh-India relations, who would be the party to be in power to escalate, or I would say only solidify those relations further, which do not seem to be solidifying at this point?
See, any elected government, any government which represents the will of the people will always improve relations with India, because India-Bangladesh relations are natural, they are natural allies actually. And Bangladesh's population depends on India for their healthcare, education, anything and everything. And similarly, Indians want to visit Bangladesh. Through Bangladesh, we have a lot, our northeastern states import quite a bit of goods from Bangladesh. So there is actually a natural complementarity and natural affinity. Unfortunately, right now you have a regime which is neither representative nor represents the will of the people. So this particular regime, which is not dependent on people's will, does as they deem appropriate. They are really not bothered about what the people want. And that's why the relations have actually got strained. So I have no doubts, as long as there is a government which is elected by the government and represents the will of the people, the relationship will improve. And at the moment, if Awami League is not allowed to contest, then the best bet is BNP, because even JP, Jatiya Party and other parties are also not being allowed to contest.
Captain Bansal, thanks so much for joining us here on the broadcast. We're weeks away from those elections. We'll get to know soon enough.